Hari Om. Let's start with a prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachalura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pitattvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakatvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We're doing the question and answer sessions. Now we ask very fundamental questions, particularly from other people's religious backgrounds. So what's the original sin? Because this we'll hear a lot in the biblical or the Abrahamic religions. So what is the original sin? So according to, of course, the Bible, it's when God created the Adam and afterwards Eve and asked them not to eat apple, and they violated the God's rule and they were tempted to eat apple because there is a snake that tempted him to eat that apple, and they committed a sin. So that was the original sin, because of which they were cursed to be born again and again. So this is the biblical story. So actually that apple stands for knowledge, but not knowledge of what? Knowledge of the objective world. So trying to know something about the world, essentially also the apple stands for the fruit, and the fruit of karma phalam. That means there is an egocentric attitude in the action, and therefore one is committing a sin in the sense that whenever I commit a egocentric action, I am bound to experience the results of that action. That's one way of looking at it, may not be the correct way. But what is actually original sin? From the Vedantic point, original sin is not knowing who I am. That's a fundamental problem. So when I don't know who I am, that's called the Mula Avidya. Mula Avidya means fundamental ignorance. Ignorance of chemistry, ignorance of biology and all that, one can get away with it. But not knowing yourself is a bigger problem, because if I don't know, a drunkard goes, as he got drunk, he forgot who he is, and then goes and hugs a tree. Oh darling, how are you? And other people will laugh at it, because this fellow lost his common sense. Common sense means he doesn't know who he is and what he is doing. That's exactly what the problem is. So, but we lost our common sense because we should know who we are. And without knowing who we are, we are trying to act in the transaction world, and we are trying to know everything else also. That's an interesting thing. And so in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it says Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Lead me from ignorance to the knowledge. What kind of ignorance? Ignorance of chemistry, physics, biology? It's not specified. So ignorance is the fundamental ignorance of my own self. If I don't know who I am, that's called non-apprehension of that truth. And therefore what happens? I take myself what I am not as I am. That is the problem. So misapprehension. So non-apprehension leads into misapprehension. If I don't know that it is a rope or a snake, I take it as it's a snake, and then consequently the other reactions from the blood pressure goes up, my heartbeat goes up, all other things are secondary effects that come because I am taking what is not there, because I don't know what is there clearly. Based on the attributive content or partial attributes, I am making a judgment call. So based on half knowledge, not a full ignorance, is no problem. If I don't know it's a snake, a rope or a snake, no problem. Since I know there is an object there, I know there is, so existence is there. At the same time, I don't know what it is. So that I know I am existent and I am a conscious entity, but I don't know completely myself, so therefore I take myself what I am not as I am. So what I am not? I take myself, I am this body, start with, and I am this mind, I am this intellect. So I am this. So anything this is object and I am a subject. And why am I taking an object into subject? Because object cannot be subject and subject cannot be object. So these are the fundamental problems, and I am taking the body, mind and intellect, which are space bound and time bound, and as they also vastu bound. Vastu means this body is different from that body, is different from all other bodies in the world. So I take one particular body and mind and intellect as I am this. That's because I don't know who I am. So not knowing who I am contributes to taking what I am not as I am. Then what happens? That is only the beginning of a problem. Since the body, mind and intellect are limited, I take the limitations of the body, mind, intellect as my limitations, and therefore I don't like those limitations, and I try to solve a problem. What's the problem? I don't like limitations. What are the limitations? My body is limited, my mind is limited, my intellect is limited. So I try to solve the problem, and why I am the body, I am the mind and intellect. So I am trying to solve a problem, and I will never solve the problem because body will always be finite, and it has a date of birth and date of expiry, and mind is also a limited entity, and also intellect is limited entity. And try to solve the problem where it's not actually my problem with the body, mind, intellect. So, and that becomes a real problem, because trying to solve a problem, and I want to become infinite by bodily, by mentally or intellectually, by acquiring this, acquiring that, and so on. So rat race started. And since I like this, I don't like this and all that, likes and dislikes come into picture, vasanas come into picture, karmas come into picture, sanchita karma, total account, and then prarabdha karma, and life goes on and on and on. So what is the fundamental ignorance or fundamental sin, or it's called mula avidya, is not knowing my own self. If I don't know myself and I'm trying to know everything else without knowing myself, then that becomes a real problem, because I take myself what I am not as I am and trying to solve a problem where there is no real problem, and trying to solve a problem where there is no problem has become a problem life after life after life. So what is the fundamental, the ignorance is mula vidya. What is not knowing myself? Ignorance of chemistry, ignorance of physics and all that. So when did I start not knowing myself? He says beginningless, anadi. From the beginning I don't know. So any ignorance is beginningless. If I don't know chemistry, when do you start not knowing chemistry? From the beginning I don't know chemistry. But that ignorance can be ended if I learn chemistry. Same way, the ignorance of myself can also end if I gain this self-knowledge. How do I get self-knowledge? By listening to the Vedantic scriptures. So that's what the so-called original sin, according to Advaita, is called mula avidya, fundamental ignorance. With that we stop. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Sishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari